But certainly Elsie Gannon showing her great bravery and her confidence on the brakes around the outside of turn 3 several times through the course of the opening heat. And that should give her a bit of an upper hand coming into this one. It's all going to be down to whether Theo Jepsen has learnt from the first race as to where he can make the best opportunities come to him. It's definitely going to be a very interesting situation as we get ourselves ready for the start of the second heat of the day. Grid positions for the second heat determined, of course, from the finishing positions of the previous heat. The engines are started up and all the drivers are ready in position. They will get the command to go, and when they do so, we will go racing. Here we go. Elsie Gannon getting a very good start again from Theo Jepsen. This time it's Max Joy and Ethan Taylor who don't get the best of starts. And up the inside of Theo Jepsen to take second position. That is a fast starting Ethan Taylor. So gets into second briefly. Theo Jepsen, however, manages to retaliate. So Ethan Taylor up into third position, having had a very solid run of it so far. But out in front it is Elsie Gannon, who has got a bit of a gap here, Elsie Gannon. She has about 4 kart lengths roughly over the 14th. Theo Jepsen, oh, there's contact on the way into turn 5. Bit of an issue there as Max Joy tries to go wheel to wheel with Ethan Taylor. And unfortunately, he ends up spinning away down to the back of the field. Max Joy looking for a little bit of sympathy there by the look of it, as he has a spin there on the run on the first lap of racing into turn 4. So Gannon and Jepsen are now well clear as a result of that little wheel banging between Ethan Taylor and Max Joy. So Taylor is now dueling away with Ethan Hume. But there is Elsie Gannon, the young lady from Wigan. Her home circuit, of course, is Three Sisters, but she's not racing there today. She's racing here at Hooton Park in Cheshire. It's about a 45-minute drive or so. But young Theo Jepsen is all over the back of her this time. The young lad from Sandbach trying to work his magic as they go through the middle of the course. Now, Theo Jepsen lost out to Elsie Gannon in the duel between the two of them. But can Theo Jepsen learn from what happened in race 1 and get his way back into the lead of the race? Elsie Gannon proving to be a very talented young lady, though, in her earlier Bambino encounter. Here comes Jepsen. This is exactly how it played out last time. But Jepsen not quite able to get close enough to Gannon, who can just go that little bit further into the braking zone and just keep the kart nice and planted through turn 1 and 2. But now through turn 2, she's going to have to defend a little bit here from Theo Jepsen. But Jepsen is taking it very sensibly and very smartly here. Running off turn 3, just trying to tuck out from behind her. Essentially what Theo Jepsen is trying to do here is not make the overtake as such, but intimidate Elsie Gannon to make the mistake. And so far Gannon is not responding to that. Just keeping herself very much in the lead. Jepsen just following in her every wheel track at the moment. Through the hairpin and onto the main straight once again. Up towards the Vauxhall car plant on the other side of the road from here. Here's the chance for Jepsen. This time he's got a much stronger run. He's going to get alongside Gannon and through. Very nicely handled as Theo Jepsen takes the lead from Elsie Gannon, with Ethan Taylor trying to hang on to third position behind in front of Ethan Hume. But Hume is going to try and make his bid up the inside line. And there's Gannon going back for the lead again on Jepsen. So Gannon and Jepsen side by side again. But Gannon is going to have the inside line for turn 4. And so despite Jepsen taking the lead, he doesn't hold it for long because Elsie Gannon is able to get back through. Very nicely handled. These two having a terrific duel for the victory as they did in race 1 earlier. So Theo Jepsen once more trying to get back on terms with Elsie Gannon, who really has just lucked into a strong setup here. And she has the confidence now to utilize this on Theo Jepsen. She got a much better run out of the final turn and Jepsen just can't quite get alongside on this occasion. So through turn 2, Gannon in front of Jepsen on the run to the hairpin. Is this going to be the opportunity? There's a great battle going on for third as well. You've got Taylor, Hume and Joy. Hume is just a nose in front this time, though. The young man from Middleton has got through. And so Ethan Hume now finds himself in third, in front of Ethan Taylor and Max Joy in P5. So we've got 2 race battles simultaneously here in the Indikart Plus Bambino. So through comes Gannon in front of Jepsen. They go through the chicane and up to the hairpin once more. Looking really good, looking really neat and tidy. And again, coming down the main straight, Elsie Gannon checks over her right shoulder. Here comes the chance from Theo Jepsen, and he knows he's got a much better chance into turn 1 this time, but he just can't go the full distance into the braking zone. He decides to hang back, and so Elsie Gannon hangs on to the lead a little longer. These two are going to have quite an incredible battle all the way through this race, aren't they? They're just going to keep it going all the way through. as now up to third has come Max Joy. So Max Joy now finds himself in third in front of Hume and Taylor. And that battle for third position still going strong. Ethan Taylor has unfortunately spun away third position for the time being, and that has dropped him to fifth. But Joy and Hume are still dueling away for third position. Jepson's got a much better run off the final turn. Thought he was going to go side by side with Elsie Gannon there, but he still has good pace. But he really needed to sit behind Gannon and utilise the slipstream a little bit more to get the toe into turn one. So Gannon holds the lead on the run to three. Jepson is reeling in Gannon, but not quite close enough, surely, to go for the move into turn three. So he just has to hang back a little bit longer. Still plenty of time to go, though. We're on lap 7. Here's the opportunity for Jepson. Has a think about it. Decides against that move into the left-hander. Bails out, but he's really starting to hunt down Elsie Gannon, looking for weak spots, looking for an opportunity to get past Elsie Gannon. Great win for her in the first race. Can she hold it for the second? Off the final turn, and again Theo Jepson getting a good undercut manoeuvre. This time they're wheel to wheel, they're side by side. And Theo Jepson surely, no, Gannon holds it round the outside. So still Elsie Gannon holding the lead into turn one. Great racing from Elsie Gannon. She's having a great drive of it. Here comes Jepson, though, up the inside to go for the lead this time, surely. No, and again, Elsie Gannon round the outside holds the lead. So Theo Jepson tries his best. He's going to have to try another trick. So Theo Jepson hanging on in there behind Elsie Gannon. Gannon is very quick, but Jepson is equally as quick. So now it's just going to be a case of who's got the racecraft in the closing couple of laps of this race. Out of the final turn and completing lap 8. Elsie Gannon continues to hold the advantage over Theo Jepson, but Jepson's coming back at her. Here's the opportunity for Jepson. Going long, not enough. Gannon still holds it through turn one. Great run from Elsie Gannon. So Jepson in second place. Max Joy in third from Ethan Hume and Ethan Taylor. Not much change between those three. Fastest lap of the race has come from Theo Jepson, a 46.452, but Gannon's fastest lap is only 5 thousandths of a second slower than that. There really is nothing to choose between these two. So Gannon holds Jepson as we, I think, are preparing for the final lap of this race. But Jepson is going to try into the final turn. Gannon's holding it around the outside. Jepson is still there. The last lap board is out, but they're going to go side by side on the run down the main straight. Is this going to be the chance for Jepson? He's not quite close enough, unless he's really brave on the brakes this time. No, he has to wait as Elsie Gannon holds the lead, and this time Jepson has lost a bit of momentum. Bailing out at turn one has given Gannon the tiny bit of breathing space she needs now, I think, to be pretty much secure for the rest of this lap. She just needs to continue what she's doing. Jepson is going to come back at her. But Elsie Gannon really has driven masterfully here. They've checked out to the tune of 22 seconds ahead of everybody else. So they can have a spin, get going again, and still be first and second, these two. But up to the final turn, Jepson is trying everything he can to overhaul Elsie Gannon, but Gannon is going to have this to the line as the checkered flag comes out, and Elsie Gannon will just be in front of Theo Jepson at the line by 68 1/1000ths of a second. Excellent run between those two. We're waiting now for Max Joy to come through in third position. Just keeping it nice and tidy. Nobody else is able to get even close to the 46.4 for the lap. As here comes Max Joy, the 55. Just keeping it neat and tidy. Third position will do very fine indeed for Max. Ethan Hume will come home in fourth position in the 11. And then Ethan Taylor, who ran as high as second at one point, sadly dropping to fifth position after a spin earlier on in the race. But what a great battle again between Elsie Gannon and Theo Jepson. And it's Gannon who will start pole position for the final later today. What a fantastic run from Elsie Gannon. Really putting on a brave show of it. And did a great job of holding Theo Jepson to ransom throughout the race. So a terrific run as the Bambinos will check out. And we will make our way towards the next race, which is going to be the Micromaxes, the Indy Hondas, and the Indy DRS heats. So we're going to get to see the competitors as they duel away for position on the grid this time. It's going to be Archie Smith, Austin Gresty, Layla Bell, and Ashton Redpath that will start the race off, with Redlind and Tom Nichols in their Hondas challenging for the win in that category. And there'll be, of course, 3 classes on the same bit of racetrack together. So through the drivers come to applause on the main straight, and they will now gear themselves up and get ready for the next battle out on the course. It's going to be a really exciting situation for all of them as they continue in fine style. A tough battle between all of the drivers in this one, but it was really good to see Elsie Gannon and Theo Jepson absolutely nailing that battle. Both drivers putting in a great show, and really good to see a fascinating run. So now the drivers getting themselves geared up and ready for the second heat of the rotation, and it's Micromax, Honda and DRS that will come out together. So the 6 drivers going to battle this time, gearing us up for another great showcase. It's going to be the Micromax trio of Archie Smith in the number 19 Praga, Austin Gresti in the number 21 Mancroc, and 33 Layla Bell, who is going to be there in position. So through they come again into their starting positions, and we've got Ashton Redpath in the DRS chassis, the Ricardo kart in 4th position, named in honour, of course, of the Australian Formula 1 driver Daniel Ricciardo, winner of the Monaco Grand Prix in years gone by. And Red Lind and Tom Nichols on the 3rd row of the starting grid, 13 and 74. So the karts come off the final turn. They're going to come onto the home straight. Everybody's going to try and stay in their positions. And away we go. We are running at the first corner here at Hooton Park. Is this going to be a good charge forward from Layla Bell? She did a good job there in 3rd position to fend off from Ashton Redpath. But now we're going to get to see what Austin Gresti can do about Archie Smith. He's going to need to do it fairly smartly. They come down to the hairpin, trying to work their way forward and make some good progress. Here's the opportunity for Austin Gresti in the 21 kart. Can he make the bid here on Archie Smith? Trying hard to work the magic. Not going to be easy to push for a higher position if Archie Smith gets away too smartly. So Austin Gresti has really got to work hard to keep Archie Smith in his sights. They go down the straight and over the line, and Layla Bell is trying to get well clear of Ashton Redpath in the DRS kart as well. And then Red Lind and Tom Nichols doing a sensible job again in Honda. In races like this, you're not just racing each other, you're also racing against the clock, trying to improve your lap times. You're also trying to get a class win. As we look at Tom Nichols, the man at the tail of the field from Leyland in Lancashire, trying to continue to make as steady progress as he possibly can. Not too far a drive for him, at least it's in the same ballpark. Cheshire next door to Lancashire. So through comes the 21. Austin Gresti looking much hungrier in the opening laps of this heat than he was in the previous one. And this is what he's got to do here. He's got to try and keep Archie Smith within his sights. This is where he can really make a good manoeuvre, as Ashton Redpath, by the way, has managed to catch and pass Layla Bell on that lap and move into 3rd position in the DRS. So the Ricardo kart in 3rd position that runs in the DRS, the Daniel Ricciardo series, running in 3rd position in the hands of Ashton Redpath. And now we watch Layla Bell. So a good run to continue this incredible challenge. Archie Smith, Austin Gresti and Ashton Redpath running in the top 3 here at Hooton Park. So now the contenders are still just trying to edge each other forward lap by lap here. They really want to get themselves into a decent position. So now we're going to get to see if Austin Gresti can really make a challenge. There is Red Lind's details. He is the championship leader in the Honda 200 category, the number 13 kart Red Lind. And Bray Williamson, of course, leads the championship in Micromax, although he's not here this weekend due to some engine difficulties. Hopefully he'll be back in time for the July round of the championship. Of course, this is the 4th live streamed event of the calendar. And the next one is going to be back in October now after a summer pause. The championship will still continue, but the next time you'll see it on your screens on YouTube is in October. So you'll have to get to the circuit if you want to follow the championship. So that's good to see our turn 3 camera back on operations again. Archie Smith in front of Austin Gresti Ashton Redpath and Layla Bell. Red Lind still in front of Tom Nichols in the Honda Challenge. Obviously, this is also just about improving, trying to get your lap times down as much as possible. That's going to be an important focus for the drivers in this one. Archie Smith trying to stretch away from Austin Gresti, doesn't really want to give him a chance, because especially considering that Gresti was a lot more competitive in the opening laps of this race. So an interesting situation for all of the contenders, but Smith and Gresti running a very solid race as they clear away. But look at the gap they've managed to pull. 6 seconds now is the gap between Smith and Redpath in third position. So they've managed to pull well clear. Layla Bell in fourth position in the third of the Micromax karts. And then Lyndon Nichols, the gap between those two, 1.8 seconds, with Red Lind looking quite safe to take a potential second win in Honda. As across the line we go, there is Austin Gresti, running in second place, the young man from Urmston in Greater Manchester, trying to chase down the Praga driver up front. Off the second corner and down that stretch. Takes a little bit of bravery to hold on to the line at the inside of the apex, but there are a couple of drivers who can do so. Austin Gresti in second position, clearly part of the Demon Tweaks scholarship. There's a couple of drivers I'm aware of who have that. You can tell by the Demon Tweaks branded logos that are on the kart. So down the straight again comes Austin Gresti with Archie Smith going through alongside. Ashton Redpath in third position, Layla Bell in P4, and then Red Lind and Tom Nichols rounding out the 6 as we are on the 8th lap here at Houghton Park. And I tell you what, the pressure is definitely starting to intensify, and I mean the air pressure. It's getting a little bit hotter, and those clouds look likely to break. We have predicted potential thunderstorms in the area today and tomorrow. So if they start to come over the course of this race, then things could get very interesting. Austin Gresti still trying to stay with Archie Smith as much as possible in the Micromax and Honda battle as they go into lap 9. So still they battle. Still a fair bit of racing to come from Archie Smith if he can hold on to this in front of Austin Gresti, because he'll have the final to try and finish off as well. Ashton Redpath, third position. What's the gap opened up to now? The gap is now 9.3 seconds between the Micromax and the DRS. And the gap back to the leading Honda between the Micromax and the Honda Cadet after 8 laps is 14 seconds. So for those of you who were interested and wanted to know the difference in lap time speed and how much faster over 8 laps a Micromax is compared to a Honda Cadet, well, I can tell you it's 14 seconds of difference. That's what it is. And it looks like we may be getting the first spots of rain potentially. So that could become a real problem, especially if it comes just before the start of racing. Some drivers will have slicks prepared, others will obviously have a bit of wet tyres, a set of wet tyres to utilise, but at this level you don't have thousands of sets of tyres to play with. You literally just have what you've got. So this will come down to driving skill and staying out there and trying to keep in a decent format out on the course. No rain just yet, but certainly getting dark enough to be thinking about it for the drivers out there as Archie Smith comes through to complete the 10th lap. Austin Gresti is still fairly with him actually. The gap is only increasing about a few hundredths of a second per lap. Gresti is not even a tenth of a second slower than Archie Smith per lap, so Smith has got to keep the pressure up, but so too is Austin Gresti. Gresti wants to take this away from Smith. There is Red Lind leading the Honda Challenge, and then Tom Nichols behind in second, 6th overall for him. So still they give us plenty to discuss and talk about. Archie Smith still hanging on from Austin Gresti. Ashton Redpath in third position. Layla Bell now P4 from Red Lind, and Tom Nichols as the last lap board comes out on the main straight. So can Archie Smith hold on to this from Austin Gresti? The gap is only 1.4. There's nothing between them in terms of lap time. So Gresti, all Gresti really needs to do is keep at similar pace to Archie Smith in the opening phase of the race, and then he's got a chance in the final later. But it's not easy to hang with this man, Archie Smith, who is so strong in the first 3 or 4 laps of racing. That's where he's able to gain his ground. So essentially that's got to be the game plan for Austin Gresti. Stay with Archie Smith in the opening laps, or even get ahead of him if he can, And then we can have a real humdinger of a final between these two. But Archie Smith is going to make it 2 from 2. Pole position in the first race, pole position in the second race, victory in both. Ahead of Austin Gresty, Ashton Redpath is going to come through in the DRS kart in 3rd position. A good dozen seconds back or so. Layla Bell, 3rd in class, 4th overall, does her best there to come through in position. And then we've got Red Lind, the winner of the Hondas, as he comes through in 5th position in front of Tom Nichols. Fastest driver on the track was Archie Smith with a 40.396 second lap time, which is only 0.177 quicker than Austin Gresty. So there's not much to choose between the two of them in terms of roll-up pace at all. A very solid run. In fact, it's not even that. It's 0.077 between them. So a very good race so far. And still the competitors having a terrific run to the flag. So a really solid effort from all of the contenders in this one. They gave us a really solid show. And so now we're going to see how it all plays out in the final a little bit later on. So now it is going to be the challenge from CD Rotax 177, their second heat after the drama between Will Dransfield and Martin Ingham on the opening lap. It'll be interesting to see what Ingham can do this time, because he'll want to get back into contention again. So we'll get to see just how intense the battle is going to be. We're going to see a really exciting run for all of the drivers in Senior Rotax 177 this time. It's definitely going to be a strong move forward. But the contenders are giving us plenty of excitement. So now the drivers will come out onto the circuit. It'll be William Dransfield and Mark Lambert on the front row of the starting grid. Ryan Walker will be in 3rd, along with Roger Moore, and then James Dunn and Sam Booth from Ian Prestwich and David Blackhurst. And then Martin Ingham will find himself in the 5th row of the grid on his own. So a very tricky but very close run battle we're going to have, as everybody is going to be very closely matched up at the start of proceedings. So let's see how it all continues in this second heat of the weekend. It's definitely been a very tough race so far in the Rotax 177 brigade. We had that incredible duel down to the first corner between Dransfield and Ingham, where Ingham was squeezed into turn 3. But let's see how it all happens this time. It's all going to come down to how Dransfield reacts off the start from Lambert. Are we racing? Yes, we are. So off we go again. Dransfield hanging on, and he's going to hold it to the inside line. As round the outside, the EOS chassis tries to go for the lead of the 95 of Mark Lambert. Lambert gets up at a 2nd place after a terrific start. So Mark Lambert is now P2 as the drivers knit their way forward. Is there a chance for Martin Ingham on the opening lap to make places? He's certainly having a go at it. But out in front, it is Dransfield from Lambert. Lambert's going to try. I thought he was having a look there on the inside of the 2nd apex of turn 5. But I think he just got a little bit eager and has ended up running off the road as a result. Certainly ran a bit wide, and now he's into the clutches of Walker and Dunn. So William Dransfield, the young man from Manchester, out in 1st position. Oh, check it out. A big tussle from Ryan Walker to get through on Mark Lambert. But Walker doesn't make the move stick. Now he's going to try again into turn 3. Is this going to be the overtake? Yes, it is. Lambert has nothing he can do to resist that. And now in 4th position, we've got James Dunn trying to make his bid to work his way forward through the field as well. Bit of a late run from Ryan Walker. Drifts out wide. This is perfect for Dransfield up front. Dransfield wanted to continue in his position up front in the lead, and it looks as though he's going to be doing just that. Lambert no longer in 2nd. Walker has taken it from him. 4th is Dunn, then it's Prestwich, then Martin Ingham. There is Ingham in the green machine in 5th place behind the Cosmic. The purple and silver machine of Ian Prestwich, number 58. There's your leader, Dransfield. And now up the inside of Lambert comes James Dunn, and up the inside of Prestwich comes Ingham. So Ingham moves forward. So does Dunn, going wheel to wheel with Lambert. So Dunn is through to 3rd, Ingham is through to 5th. Some good overtakes then on lap 3. Drivers are still battling away for position. Dransfield holding on to it from Walker. And then it's Dunn ahead of Lambert. Ingham ahead of Prestwich. So Martin Ingham has worked his way forward in 5th position. working his way up into B5 once again. The young man from Wigan. He's trying again as Sam Booth finds himself towards the tail end of the field in this one. Ingham on the inside of Lambert. Gets through and makes the pass, and so too does Roger Moore on Prestwich. And it looks as though he's not going to be the only one to get through. I think Sam Booth is going to get past Prestwich as well. So that's going to move them forward once again. And David Blackhurst finds himself in 9th position trying to keep up with these guys. But it's a terrific run from William Dransfield so far. Walker in 2nd, then Dunn, then Ingham, Lambert, Moore, Booth, Prestwich and Blackhurst. So Blackhurst is the last one to come through. So far, no problems for Dransfield. Ingham just working his way steadily back through the field. He's worked his way to 4th. Tell you what, if he could take a win in the final, Ingham, after a comeback like this, that really would be quite spectacular. Made a few places in the previous heat, but certainly not enough to cause an issue by the time he had the broken rear bumper, which eventually put him out of the race. So Dransfield, Walker, Dunn, Ingham, Lambert, Moore, Booth, Prestwich and Blackhurst. So as the drivers slide their way through the first corner, it's obviously going to be a very tricky one to continue the battle through. And still they duel away for position. Dransfield ahead of Walker, Dunn and Ingham. Ingham making a good comeback. Lambert 5th from Moore, Booth and Prestwich. David Blackhurst still trying to keep up with the pack, but now falling 9.9 seconds back at the end of lap 5. So Dransfield stretching away. Walker looking sizably good for a 2nd place run here. But Dunn has Ingham for company. Ingham definitely trying to make as much of it as he possibly can from this situation. Trying to work his way forward. There's Ingham battling away with Lambert and Moore. And then at the back we've got Booth versus Prestwich. So Booth and Prestwich having a very decent duel for position here. They are dueling for 7th place. Prestwich trying to come around the outside of Sam Booth. That's never going to work. Booth will protect the inside line. 3 in the deck and 1 in the air as he goes through turn 4. Holds the chassis to ransom in the braking zone. But William Dransfield out in front of Walker, Dunn, Ingham, Lambert, Moore, Booth, Prestwich and Blackhurst. And here's the move on the inside from Prestwich. Oh, neither driver resisting. Neither driver yielding, and round the outside, Sam Booth hangs onto it in front of Ian Prestwich. That was brave. That was really brave from Sam Booth. You're not going to push your way past me, bucko. And he hangs on to 7th position when another driver would have bailed out. So Sam Booth hangs on to 7th there in front of Prestwich. They've lost a bit of time now to Roger Moore, but at this point, I think the only thing they're focusing on is their opponent. So Dransfield leads Walker, Dunn, Ingham, Lambert, Moore, and these two troublemakers, Sam Booth and Ian Prestwich. Had a fabulous battle on the previous lap into turn 1, holding it round the outside to keep the position. So Sam Booth is doing everything possible to hold Ian Prestwich up. He really wants to win this little duel between the two of them. Certainly put a bit of a feather in the cap. So Dransfield in front of Walker, then Dunn. Ingham desperately trying to catch him, but I think 4th might be his limit here. Not going to be particularly easy to catch him up anymore. So it's definitely going to be a tall order to try and make up that amount of time. So an interesting solution for William Dransfield ahead of Walker, Dunn, Ingham, Lambert and Moore. Sam Booth in 7th, Prestwich is 8th, Blackhurst is 9th. And as they complete the 10th lap, Will Dransfield has this all his own way. I tell you what, this is definitely going to help in terms of Dransfield's position in the point standings. Martin Ingham losing points to him on this occasion, having originally been pole position earlier on. But Ingham in 4th place. So now we're going to get to see what the contenders are coming up with. Dransfield, Walker, Dunn, Ingham and Lambert, your top 5. Lambert as high as 2nd position at one phase of the race, almost went for the win. But now the last lap board comes out. So William Dransfield is just going to try and keep this together in front of Ryan Walker and James Dunn. So still the battles continue to rage, but it's looking neat and tidy for Will Dransfield up in front. having a very solid race of it. On the last lap, he has really checked out in the lead of this one. The sun has tried to come out once again here, and he's done a fantastic job as he works his way through the S's. Will Dransfield just takes it out of the final turn, gets back on the power. The kart responds with due cooperation, and he takes a second win of the day here at Hooton Park. But the man to watch is without a doubt Martin Ingham. Walker in second, Dunn in third, and Ingham charging his way from the back to fourth place. He means business in the final later, I'm sure. Then it's Lambert and Moore from Booth and Prestwich, and then at the back of the field it is David Blackhurst. So there you have it. Will Dransfield doing a grand job and taking the win in this one from Walker and James Dunn. Martin Ingham in P4 in front of Lambert and Roger Moore. Then Sam Booth, Ian Prestwich and David Blackhurst. It's going to be an interesting challenge for them in their final a little later, but the juniors are not far away. So the junior Rotax will be the next race out on track as the Rotax 177 competitors come back into the pits at the end of their victory lap. The race weekend, of course, sponsored by Circuit Watches, established earlier this year. And I have to say, they are absolutely exquisite timepieces. So the fabulous battle continuing on as the drivers getting ready for an exciting show. The contenders are very close and ready for an exciting battle. 18 competitors will come out onto the circuit for this one in the second of our junior heats. We had a great race earlier on today, and it looks as though we're going to have another one for the drivers as they will want to battle for supremacy. So we'll now come to the closing procedure, the closing stages. But now it's time to send the drivers out onto the circuit in their grid positions. James Ollier, pole position from Dan Whitfield. James Kochelek and Morgan Hudson will be on the second row. The third row will see Lewis Sumner and Tom Holden join together. Then Adam Catling and Leon Barlow on the fourth row. Riven Welsh and George Daniels on the fifth row of the grid. Then James Kell and Jackson Lane. Sarah Vicharek and Ewan McQueen on the seventh row. And then Oliver Lomax, Molly Pugh, Zach Kane and Archie Doherty. The second heat of the day for the juniors, and they've definitely given us a really exciting show up to this point. So that's going to be interesting to see how the drivers take it on this time. We had a bit of a spinner on the way out of the pits at the beginning of the first race from pole position, as Sauri Vicharek lost his advantage from the front of the grid. He did work his way forward from 18th and last to 13th. But obviously, having been originally pole position, this is going to be a very long day for the young man from Blackpool, Sauri Vicharek. So we wait for the start command, and we get it! Up to the first corner. Is everybody going to make it through without drama? There's going to be a couple of karts going straight into that first couple of corners. They all get very tight together, but everybody's made it through, and it's not a big problem for James Ollier to hold the lead of the race in front of Kochelek. Kochelek trying to hold it round the outside. He's got into second position. He's now going to go for the lead on the exit. James Kochelek trying to get one over on James Ollier. But Ollier is there first. Kochelek diving up the inside. That might be his one chance. He commits to it. He can't get there. So great battles on the opening lap between Ollier and Kochelek. There's not a lot of overtaking opportunities on this circuit, but on the first lap on cold tyres, you need to take full advantage of what there might be. And James Kochelek, the young man from Liverpool, challenging for the lead here to try and get past James Ollier, the man from Cheshire, who is out in front in the number 54. So it's Ollier from Kochelek, Whitfield, Sumner, Hudson, Catling, Holden, Welsh, Barlow and Jackson Lane. Sauri Vicharek has already made his way back up into 11th position. So he's clearly got the pace to run at the front. He just needs to find a way of getting back there. He's got to pull off a lot of overtakes on a circuit which is notoriously difficult to do so. So the battle for fourth place raging. Sumner versus Hudson. But Ollier, Kochelek and Whitfield very closely matched together as well. So across the line they come. And Sumner in front of Hudson, Holden, Catling, Welsh, Barlow, Lane, Vicharek, Kell, Daniels, Pugh, Kane, Lomax, McQueen and Doherty. So the top six are well clear. James Ollier holding on to it for the time being in the number 54 out in front. James Kochelek on his Tony kart right in behind him. And as they continue to duel the way for position, you're going to see a bit of a challenge for the 25. Morgan Hudson got on the curb, trying to get through there on Lewis Sumner. Wasn't going to happen. So Morgan Hudson did his very best, the young man from Rochdale. to get through on the inside line, but it wasn't to be on that occasion. And Lewis Sumner there, currently running in 4th position, the young man from Southport. Having worked his way forward, he's on the back straight now, staring at the gearbox, or I should say the engine manifold of Dan Whitfield in 3rd position. Bit of a challenge for 4th, and off the road goes Lewis Sumner. Sumner drifts out wide. So Lewis Sumner, I'm afraid, has fallen down to the back of the queue. He just drifted off the road. He's not the only one off. Morgan Hudson's gone off as well. Morgan Hudson has also lost a big amount of ground. So Hudson and Sumner, the men who have both held 4th at various points on this lap, have now dropped back. It's Tom Holden who's now in 4th from Catling, Welsh and Barlow. Then Jackson Lane, and up into the top 10 in 9th position now has come Sauri Vicharek. So Morgan Hudson dropped back to 10th. Lewis Sumner dropped back to 12th. So Sauri Vicharek, the man who was originally in pole position in time qualifying, now finds himself in 9th place, trying to keep up with Jackson Lane up in front. But when you're in 11th place and 2 drivers ahead of you fall off the road, you're obviously going to pick up the pieces and get back into the points. So Jackson Lane having a very challenging race in 8th position, the young man from Bolton. Still a good run to continue the battle into the first corner. Pick your moment to go for the overtake. Very tricky in the midfield as up the inside there goes the challenge from Sauri Vicharek. Is he through? Yes, he is. And also through is Morgan Hudson, both at the expense of the Lando Norris chassis of Jackson Lane. So that should put Sauri Vicharek into 8th and Morgan Hudson back up into 9th. But now we've got a handful of big names really struggling to run at the front end of the field as they had originally been cast to start. So Ollier, Kochelek and Whitfield, then Holden, Catling, Barlow, Welsh, Vicharek, Hudson and Lane, and then James Kell in 11th in front of Lewis Sumner and George Daniels, then Molly Pugh, Oliver Lomax, Zach Kane, and at the back of the field we have Archie Doherty and Ewan McQueen, and both drivers I believe are still circulating. So through there is Adam Catling from Telford in Shropshire. A very solid race battle for the top 5. Currently fastest driver on the track is Tom Holden. Once again, 35.611 for the fastest lap of the race from him as he continues to battle away in hard progress. But the battle is going to be very strong indeed as now they duel away again. Ollier, Kochelek, Whitfield, Holden and Catling. Here comes the bit on the inside line as up comes Morgan Hudson trying to get through on the inside line. Can't quite get close enough to the 38. The treble 8, sorry, Everybody Welsh and off the road. Who's that in the background? So we've had somebody disappear off onto the grass there. I thought for a moment it was Adam Catling, but it's not. Catling is still there in the mix. So the drivers continue to come through. And Leon Barlow is there in P6. It was actually Sauri Vicharek getting into 7th place. Riven Welsh is 8th now in front of Hudson, Lane, Sumner and Daniels. Then James Kell and Molly Pugh. From Ollie Lomax and Zach Kane, here's the move up the inside. That's Leon Barlow getting past Adam Catling. And Catling's got to try and thwart the attack from Sauri Vicharek. Sauri Vicharek, of course, was the... Oh, big move on the inside from Barlow. And there's not a lot that he could do. Catling has got him. Oh, and Catling's made contact, I think, with Sauri Vicharek. Somehow they both point in the right direction. How are they coping with this? It's like a boxing match between Vicharek and Catling right now. Vicharek has made it. Catling drifts out wide, tries to get back in front of Hudson, doesn't manage that. Drifts across on Riven Welsh. Jackson Lane is going to tighten up, so is Barlow, so is Sumner, so is Daniels. The chain reaction effect continues, and there has been an incident. 2 cards have come off the road there. I think that's Catling. I think he's tangled with Morgan Hudson. We'll double check who's still there and who isn't, but it looks to me as though I think it might be actually Catling and Riven Welsh. So Ollier, Kochelek, Whitfield and Holden, then Vicharek, then it is Hudson. So I think it's Catling and Welsh that did come together. Indeed, they did. So the race continues on. And are they still going? Yep, they have continued. So Catling is now 11th, Welsh is now 13th, in between James Kell. So out in front, Ollier doing a great job in front of Kochelek. But now we've got Whitfield trying to challenge to move up another place. Oh, hang on, that's Whitfield through in a second. He got through on Kochelek on that lap as we go into the last lap. So Whitfield has timed it to perfection to get back through into 2nd place past Kochelek. But now Tom Holden looking for a much better finish than he had in the previous race. 4th position, better than 6th. And what a charge back from Kasseri Wojciech. Dan Whitfield, championship leader, back into 2nd again. But Kasseri Wojciech has had an amazing charge forward after pole position in time qualifying, dropping to the back of a spin in the formation lap. His comeback has been monstrous. There we go, the last lap board is out. A checkered flag is now in the air. Ollier from Whitfield and Kochelek. It was just giving Ewan McQueen the signal for the last lap. Holden in 4th, Kasseri Wojciech in front of Morgan Hudson, Leon Barlow, Lewis Sumner, Jackson Lane and George Daniels. Adam Catling coming through in 11th in front of James Kell and Rivan Welsh. Then Molly Pugh, Oliver Lomax, Archie Doherty and Zach Kane. And at the back of the field, it will now be Ewan McCain. What a terrific race. And James Ollier managing to hang on there in front of Dan Whitfield, who got back through in front of James Kochelek. Tom Holden in 4th place, and after staying out of trouble, Kasseri Wojciech, what a charge through to come home in 5th position, having originally started this race from back in 13th. So a very solid race indeed from Kasseri Wojciech, and if he can start from a reasonably good position for the final now, he's going to have quite the final coming up later on. So very solid run from Kasseri Wojciech as he charges his way back. Fastest driver in the race was Tom Holden. He did a 35.407. So not bad going indeed. But now we have the exciting battle ahead of us for the senior Rotax second heat. We had Rotax 177. Now we've got the senior Rotax shortly after that. So time for the senior Rotax heat number 2. Jack Hayes Roberts and Robbie Rathbone on the front row of the grid from Kinder, Bates, Stevens, Harding, Lakens and Lee. And here we go. Up to the start. It's going to be a tough one to hold on to the lead for Jack Hayes Roberts, and Robbie Rathbone was fractionally ahead as they came across the line. But as the field works its way through on the opening lap of the race, it's a perfect start for Jack Hayes Roberts, the 88. And the field trying desperately not to connect too close to each other in the 3rd hairpin. But it's certainly a very good start for the 88 in front of the 53 now of Callum Kinder. Kinder has made himself in a very strong position over the course of the race here to move up into 2nd position. I think we had somebody drift off the road in the early part of the lap. Oh, and there's 3 cars come off of the chicane. That's not gone well at all in the middle of the lap. So I'm afraid, coming up towards the final part of the course, we've had a couple of drivers run out wide. And it looks to me like Barrett, Davies and Keynes were involved in that one. Luke Davies has got going again, but James Barrett and Billy Keynes really had to struggle to get themselves back into position as Leo Jackson has managed to overtake Christus Likens for 5th position. The Jack Bate also dropped back on that first lap. He's down to 15th position now, poor Jack Bate. But Jack Hayes Roberts has got Callum Kinder breathing down his neck. Mackenzie Stevens in 3rd position, a really solid run for him. Robbie Rathbone in 4th, Leo Jackson, Christus Likens, Lewis Smith and Curtis Harding. Lucas Miles doing a very fair job. James Eyre having a really solid race of it as they come down the straight towards the hairpin again. And is Callum Kinder going to be able to challenge Jack Hayes Roberts for a potential victory in this 2nd senior Rotax heat? He's definitely throwing everything he can at it. Mackenzie Stevens, 3rd position from Robbie Rathbone and Leo Jackson. Then Christus Likens and Lewis Smith from Curtis Harding, Lucas Miles and James Eyre. Then Zach Boker, Adam Cerner and Tommy Austin, in front of Jack Bate. And then Louis Merrick from Luke Davies, James Barrett, Tommy Lee and Billy Cairns. So a lot of drivers struggling in the opening 3 laps to make an impression. And up the inside, that's the move from Curtis Harding to get through past Christus Likens. So Harding passes Likens, and that is for 6th position now. So he's got to try and chase after Leo Jackson. Very solid race battle so far, as the contenders have a really intriguing race. They will continue to duel away. Hayes Roberts out in front, Callum Kinder in 2nd, then Stevens, Rathbone, Jackson, Harding, Likens, Smith and Lucas Miles ahead of James Eyre in 10th. Then it's Zach Boker, Jack Bate has climbed back up to 12th, and then Tommy Austin and Adam Cerner doing a great job on Louis Merrick. Then Luke Davies, James Barrett, Tommy Lee and Billy Cairns. So Jack Hayes Roberts still controls the pace in front of Callum Kinder for the moment, but it isn't going to be too long until Kinder is back on terms. Fastest lap of the race so far from Jack Hayes Roberts. Callum Kinder is still keeping it in the mix in 2nd. Then Mackenzie Stevens trying not to lose more points to the championship leader, Robbie Rathbone. So Leo Jackson steady in 5th position ahead of Curtis Harding, Christos Likens, and then Lewis Smith from Lucas Miles, James Eyre. And then outside the top 10, you've got Zach Boker, Jack Bate, Tommy Austin, Adam Cerner, Louis Merica, Luke Davies, James Barrett, Tommy Lee, and Billy Keynes. So the drivers are all still trying to find that little bit of extra manoeuvring position, that little bit of manoeuvring power. So Jack Hayes-Roberts in front of Callum Kinder. Stevens and Rathbone tidying up. Rathbone, the championship leader coming into this weekend. Looked like he might have been trying to go for the move in 3rd place then. So very solid run. Still a lot to do, of course. Don't forget that this is still going to be a very tight run to the end. So a very solid situation now in the middle of this little pack. Mackenzie Stevens battling with Robbie Rathbone for 3rd position in this qualifying heat. Off the turn and on the run. There's Mackenzie Stevens' details, the number 19 from Lichfield in Staffordshire, in 3rd position at the moment. Just a whisker in front of the 8 of Robbie Rathbone, who of course is still the championship leader coming into this weekend. The points are not taken into consideration until the end of the race meeting, when they're all done and dusted. So let's see what can be done about this 2nd place. For the moment, let's see what's happening in terms of getting into the points, because you've got several drivers here still mixing it up. Robbie Rathbone is the championship leader in the senior Rotax category, but he's currently stuck in 4th position behind Mackenzie Stevens, as we are watching Curtis Harding trying to catch up with the 2 men in front of him. So Stevens and Rathbone, 3rd and 4th place. Curtis Harding running in 6th position in the number 32. That is the Lando Norris chassis. So still hunting down an opportunity. But Jack Hayes-Roberts holds the advantage over Callum Kinder. The gap has opened up to 1.9 seconds now. So as they come off the turn and down the main straight again, that could be very interesting to see how it plays out. Callum Kinder, 2nd place now in front of Stevens and Rathbone. Then Leo Jackson should be in front of Curtis Harding, which he is. Then Likens, Smith, Lucas Miles and James Eyre in the top 10 positions. So still the drivers really raging on around the circuit here at Houghton Park. Jack Hayes-Roberts looking strong to hold on to this for the time being, but certainly looking pretty neat and tidy from his perspective as they continue to run forward. It's certainly looking good for Jack Hayes-Roberts to make it 2 wins out of 2 across these finals. But now it is going to be interesting to see who can follow him. Is it going to be Kinder in 2nd, or will Mackenzie Stevens and Robbie Rathbone still have a chance to take it from him in the closing stages of this 2nd heat of Houghton Park in Cheshire in the Indikart Plus? Having a look in a bit of a slide, a bit of a twitch. Careful. Don't want to run yourself in danger of losing more problems there. So Jack Hayes-Roberts out in front of Callum Kinder and Mackenzie Stevens. Robbie Rathbone still right there with Stevens, waiting for his chance to steal 3rd position as we head into the closing stages. The last lap begins and it's all on Robbie Rathbone now to get into 3rd position. He's going to be all over the back of Mackenzie Stevens as they head down to turn 3. There's your leader, Jack Hayes-Roberts, having a very solid race of it up front. He seems to have immense speed compared to the others in the field, and he's certainly going to make light use of a strong run. The young man from Chester in Cheshire, Jack Hayes-Roberts, will take the checkered flag, and that's 2 from 2 for the 88. A great run from Jack Hayes-Roberts. 2nd place for Callum Kinder, definitely a very strong drive indeed from him. 3rd place for Mackenzie Stevens, then Robbie Rathbone ahead of Leo Jackson, Curtis Harding and Christos Likens. The top 10 rounded out in the end by Lewis Smith, James Eyre and Zach Boker. Jack Bate climbed back to 11th after his earlier transgressions. Lucas Miles to 12th, Tommy Austin, and then in front of Louis Merica. And then it is Luke Davies. A very irate and very unhappy situation there